Good morning and welcome. My name is Pastor Charity Roberts, and we are so glad that you are here with us today. We are in our third week of a series that we're calling Strapped, and we are learning how to manage our money in a way so we're not going to be strapped anymore. If you've missed any of the last 2 weeks, I encourage you to go to gptacoma.info and click on the message tab on there, or go to graceplacetacoma.org and click on the message series there. These last 2 weeks that Pastor Aaron taught are building blocks. So we may say some things today and you go, I don't understand that term. Well, you got to go back and watch the last 2 messages so you can pick up and be knowing what we're doing. We've been talking about that we serve God. As Christians, that's what we're going to do. We're going to serve God, and money's going to serve us as we serve God. So today I want to talk about budgeting our money, saving our money, and then how to invest that money. So there's really 2 types of people when it comes to money. There are spenders and there are savers. So if you are a spender, raise your hand. Yeah. Most of you, amazingly, God paired you with a saver. So if you're a saver, raise your hand. So the interesting thing here is that I could have told you probably when you were kids what you were going to be. See, I can look at my 2 kids, Thomas and Savannah, and I would have been able to tell you years ago what each of them is. Now, I have one of each. I have Thomas, who is my spender. The moment money hits that kid's hand, it is out of his hand and into somebody else's pocketbook because he's always wanting something. He does not hold on to money. Now, he will save for like a video game, but the second he has the $60 plus tax, he has put it in my hand and said, Mom, it's in the Amazon cart. Can you please just go click buy so it'll be here and I can play it tomorrow? Savannah, on the other hand, is my saver. Now, this child saves everything. Every dollar she gets for Christmas, every dollar she gets for her birthday, every dollar she gets for doing extra jobs or helping people, she saves it. And she's funny because she'll actually pick something that she wants to save towards, and almost every time she gets to the I've got enough money to buy X, she'll sit there and she'll talk to me and she'll go, well, do I really need it? I've lived all this time without it. Mom, I don't think I really need it. And so she just tucks the money back in her wallet, and out of the store we go. So she's hilarious. So I have one of each. But I want to talk about saving today because it's not something you hear about in our culture today. And I want you to know there's actually some scripture behind what I'm going to say. This isn't just Pastor Charity telling you, I think this sounds good, so I'm going to stand up here and say it. So we're going to start in Proverbs 6, verses 6 through 8. Now, King Solomon here, his gift, he asked God. God said, what do you want? And he said, give me wisdom. So when the guy speaks, we should listen. And he says this, go to the ant, you sluggard. Yes, he actually says that. Consider its ways to be wise. He's talking about a little ant. It has no commander, no overseer, no ruler, yet it stores its provisions in summer and gathers its food at harvest. In other words, if we were out having a picnic and you drop a piece of fried chicken, that ant's going to get his buddies and they're going to come grab your piece of fried chicken and carry it off. Dun, 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 dun. Yes, and they're not going to eat the whole drumstick. They're going to have a little bit now, and they're going to save the rest because they know they're going to be hungry later. And when there's not going to be a picnic in the middle of winter, they've got to have some food stored up. Proverbs 21:20 goes on to say, the wise store up choice food and oil, but a foolish man devours all he has. So the wise aren't going to consume all they have. They're going to save some of it, have some leftovers. But the foolish man, the Bible says, he devours all he has. So to put this in modern terms so we can understand it, this is the person living paycheck to paycheck. That as soon as that money comes in, you've spent it plus some. And my goal here is not to make anybody feel bad. My goal here is not to demean the single parents who says, I've got 2 minimum wage jobs and I'm scraping by just to keep a roof over my head and food on the table. But the reality is, we have to call a spade here. The reality is that studies say that 55% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. Now, I can do the math here, and I know that 55% of America is not single parents. So therefore, we've messed something up here that if 55% of us are living paycheck to paycheck, that we're foolishly eating everything up that we're given and having nothing left. So it seems like my job as the pastor is to help you get through your life and live your life well. So in order to do that, we're going to do some really basic things today. We're going to start at the really basic level to help you understand here. So we're going to start with saving. Now, what should we save for? In your bulletins, you're going to find we're going to save for 3 things. The first thing we're going to save for is an emergency. Fill it in. Emergencies. The second thing we're going to save for is purchases. And the third thing we're going to save for is our future. Now, that second thing, if you weren't paying attention because you were writing, does not say purses. It says purchases. So ladies, this is not, and I get to go buy a new bag because Pastor Charity said so. No, 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 no. I saw some of your eyes light up. Ooh, Pastor said I can buy new purses. All right, that gets to be on the important list. No. Emergencies. What is an emergency? An emergency is not the brand new iPhone that came out. An emergency is that you're going to get a leaky pipe. Your car is going to break down. I can tell you this week that I've had some of these things, and if I hadn't been smart, I would have been in some trouble. Now we're going to say for purchases, you want a new kitchen table. You want a new couch. You want to buy a new car. Well, you're not going to go to the store and put it on the piece of plastic. You're going to save a little bit every month to go, okay, I know the new dining room set's going to be about $200. So how much can I save this month? I can save $20. Oh, I worked into something extra. I can put an extra $20 that I didn't know. You're going to save, and you're not going to buy that until you have the cash to do so. So we're going to save for purchases. And then we're going to save for our future. Some of you have kids, you want them to go to college, you're probably going to need to be able to help them do that. If your kids have crooked teeth, you need to save for braces. Now, I did this. I'm not telling you anything I haven't done. Thomas, I knew, was going to need braces. So every month for the last 2 years, I've put a little bit aside. Thomas got braces put on his mouth in August. And the coolest thing I got to do was to walk in the day they put the braces on, and they're like, you need to bring $100 to us so before we'll put the braces on, and then we can put you on a payment plan. And I got to walk into that office and say, okay, so here's the total. You've told me what the total is going to be. And I said, so what if I pay it all up front in cash? Oh, well, we'll give you a 10% discount. So I just saved money by setting aside money, and I didn't put it on plastic. You want to save for retirement. I really don't think most of you want to get to your mid-70s and be eating cat food. So you're going to have to save some today so you're not living in poverty tomorrow. See, the problem in our society today is that people haven't learned how to prioritize their dollars. You go, well, I have all of it, so I can spend all of it. See, there are needs and there are wants. People are buying what they want, and they don't have enough money for what they need. So we're going to spend the next few minutes, and if you were here with us last week, you have heard from Pastor Craig Krischall, and he is the pastor of Life Church, and the guy's really smart, and he's made this conversation about prioritizing your dollars and how to do that really simple. So when I find somebody who can say it better than I can, I'm going to use them. So we're going to spend the next few minutes, if you'll direct your attention to the screen, and see what Pastor Krischall has to say about prioritizing our dollars.
What I'm going to show you is what finance legend and my good friend Dave Ramsey calls the debt snowball. This is the absolute best and fastest way to get unstrapped and to free yourself from the bondage of debt. What I'm about to cover with you is one of the most important things that you can ever learn about your personal finances. Are you ready? Let's do it. Look at the bottom of your notes and let's attack this together. Here's what we've got. This is an imaginary list of our debts, what we owe to others. In this sample list, you'll see the different people or businesses we owe listed in the first column. In the second column, you'll find the amount that's owed to each one. You see, we owe $450 to Lowe's for the power tools that we always wanted, $650 to Target for the cute top, the belt, the earrings, and the hat to match, plus the ketchup, Oreos, and pickles, and all the other things you craved when you were pregnant. We also owe $1,600 to our parents, who let us borrow the money to replace our air conditioning unit when it went down, and so on. In the third column, you'll see the minimum payment. This is the minimum amount that we're required to pay each month, and we've been faithfully paying the minimum, but we are sick and tired of being strapped. So, what are we going to do? Again, what we're going to look at is something that could change your life forever. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to find an extra $200 a month. Now, you're probably thinking, where in the world am I going to find an extra $200 a month? And that's a good question. I don't know the answer to the question, but you will find it. You'll get very, very creative and find $200 extra a month. If you have to take a second job delivering pizzas, or if you have to eliminate your satellite television or your mobile data plan, or start brown bagging it, or skipping your $4 daily dose of overpriced caffeine, or whatever, you'll find $200 a month. And what you do with this $200 a month will change future generations. Here's how it'll play out. Let's start with Lowe's. We owe them $450. Your minimum payment, remember, is $50. Now, you'll pay them $50 and add to it the $200 that we just found, totaling $250 a month. And within a matter of only a couple of months, Lowe's is gone. Bye-bye, Lowe's. We'll never have to worry about that debt again. Now, we're going to let the money start to snowball away the debt. How will we do it? Now we're going to attack Target. We've already been paying Target $30 a month. Now we're going to take the $30 and add to it $250 a month. Now you may ask, where did we get $250 a month? You remember, we just freed up $250 a month because we paid off Lowe's. Now we're going to take that $250 and the $30, and together we have $280. And guess what? In just a matter of a couple of months, Target is gone as well, and the snowball is starting to get bigger. Now, let's take our parents. We're paying them $200 a month. We'll add to it the $280 that we freed up because we no longer have to pay Lowe's or Target, and now we've got $480 a month going to pay off Mom and Dad. Again, in a matter of a few short months, Mom and Dad are paid for, they're happy, we're happy, and we're going to take this money and let it grow every single month and apply it to the next debt that we owe, starting with the smallest amount of debt so we can knock it out, and going piece by piece down to the largest. We're going to pay off all of our debt with the debt snowball. We're going to wipe out everything we owe but the house. Now, how will this benefit you in the long run? Let me show you something that is really, really amazing. If you just continue to pay minimum payments, like so many people do, if you're taking notes, write this down. It's going to take you 120 months to pay off your debt. That's 10 years before you pay off all this debt, and that's assuming you don't take on any more. Now, watch this. If you do the debt snowball, your payoff time is not 120 months, not 10 years, but instead only 21 months. That's a difference of 99 months of not paying any debt. Can you say, wow? Now, buckle your seatbelt and get ready for this. If you take $1,110, now, where do we get $1,110? If you look at the debt we just paid off, you freed up $1,110 a month in debt payments that you no longer have. If you take that money and invest it at 8% for that same 99 months that you would have been paying off your debt, at the end of that time period, guess how much money you'll have? You'll have $153,992.30. Check it out. In most parts of the world, what did that buy you? That will buy you a house paid for in cash, totally debt-free, including a house in only 10 years. You can do it if you'll get crazy with the debt snowball. Let no debt remain outstanding except the continual debt to love. We don't serve money, we serve God. Money serves us as we serve God. If you live like no one else, one day you can live like no one else.
So I want to take a quick minute right now, and we're going to recap those 5 areas of prioritizing our dollars. We have tithes, we have expenses, we have the emergency fund, we have debt, and then we're going to teach you about investing. So today my goal is to help you be really, really practical. And I get to talk about this today because this is how I've lived my life since the very first time I babysat and got like $20. So I'm giving you what I know works, what can be done. Is it hard? Sure. Does it mean giving up some things? Yeah, it does. But to live debt-free is an amazing, amazing gift. See, other than my mortgage, I have no debt. I have no car payment. I've saved and bought both of our cars in cash. I don't have any credit card debt. See, I can't stand the idea, first of all, of paying full price for anything, much less if I paid full price and then I'm going to pay interest to the credit card company for the next 25 years. So by the time I've actually paid it off, I probably don't have the new shirt or the pants or the tool or the video game that I originally put on the credit card, nor do I care any longer. So start thinking about what you're doing with your money. Here's the deal. If you don't have cash to pay for it, you don't need it. For some of you, I know that just absolutely rocked your world. You're like, well, I do need it. I have to have it. I'm telling you, your kids don't need the $120 pair of shoes. They don't need the $50 pair of jeans. You don't either. So this isn't just, well, I'm not giving my kids because I need something better. No. None of you need it. You need to not be naked. But guess what? Goodwill does sales. They've got a dollar rack. I shop there. Guess what? Your kids need the designer clothes. We have an amazing shop on 38th Street called Plato's Closet where you can get the designer $120 pair of jeans for like $12. So yes, you can save and make them pay for half of it, and they can get the really cool thing. My son has gone in there before. They get Nike shoes in all the time. And instead of paying $150, he can pay like $45. There's sales and things. Be smart with your money. If you truly want to be free, you have to start by getting out of debt. And in order to do that, you're going to need to do 2 things. The first thing is, go ahead and fill this in as your blank, is you need a plan. You have to have a plan. See, Pastor Aaron has spent the last 2 weeks giving you some really practical advice on how to get to a plan. And yes, for some of you, it means some really big changes. But I'm telling you, the reward is so worth it. So Dave Ramsey is a really super smart financial guy. And he got really smart by first being really, really dumb. See, Dave Ramsey actually had built his wealth up and got into so much trouble that he actually declares bankruptcy and loses everything. And ends up starting at the bottom and realizing, I bought into the world's view of having credit card debt and getting the best car and doing all of this. And he said it wasn't working and it was killing me. And so Dave Ramsey's been everywhere from having it all to having nothing to being a really wealthy guy now. So he's been everywhere in that financial spectrum that you are all sitting at one point or another in. And he has this to say about money. If you worked for a company called You Incorporated, You are the money manager for You Incorporated. You manage this corporation the same way you manage your personal finances. Would you fire you as the financial advisor? It's amazing to me the stuff that people will do with their money, and you've squandered it, you've put yourself in debt, and then you come and you go, well, God, I really need you to fix this. I really need you to bless me. I know you can't really see this big hole I've made over here, right, God? So just give me more money. No, that's not. If you've read the parable of the talents, and this is a story we're going to talk about here in a minute, is about a guy who was given some money and invested it and made more money. He didn't lose it. He didn't borrow more than he already had. See, God tests us. He gives you a little bit to see if you're trustworthy. Are you going to be wise with the little bit so God can know He can give you more? I mean, if you're at a Burger King and you start out, you get a job and you're the fry guy and you're doing a good job of being the fry guy, you're probably going to get promoted to Whopper Flopper, right? Now, as the Whopper Flopper, if you start doing a bad job, they're not going to promote you to store manager or regional manager. No, you're going to probably get demoted back to fry guy or possibly table washer person. It's the same way with money. See, God, our Father in heaven, loves us and He wants to give us good things. But He also knows that when you can't manage little stuff, He's not going to give you bigger stuff, because the harm you could do with the bigger will be more destructive than you've already been able to do with the little you have. It's like the guy that wins the lottery and in 5 years is completely broke and has less than he started with. Jesus said it this way: for which of you intending to build a tower doesn't sit down and first count the cost to see whether he has enough to finish the whole construction, lest you get halfway up and have to scrap it because, well, I ran out of money? Other people would mock you for doing that, correct? In your working lifetime, you will handle somewhere between $4 million and $10 million. You're all thinking, well, I hardly make anything. Add that up over your working lifetime of 50 or 60 years. You will handle somewhere between $4 and $10 million. So act like it. Be responsible with it. And the way we do that is you're going to put it on paper. You're going to be on purpose. You're going to do it before the paycheck hits the bank. So you're going to sit down and you're going to assign every dollar a name. And you're going to agree. If you're married, your spouse is going to have to sit down and agree that this is what we're doing with the money. This is, in most couples, or whatever, Aaron and I am much better with money, but I don't do anything with our money without checking with Aaron to say, Aaron, this is where I've laid everything out for the month. Is there anything you can see that I've missed? Did you think I'm putting too much money into one thing that should be in something else? And we agree. And if we don't agree, we look at it until we figure out the best plan for our family. You're never going to win until you start doing it. And yes, it means it's going to take some effort. So now that I've given you what Dave Ramsey, who's really, really smart, I'm going to give you what Pastor Charity says. You're going to start with a budget. Most of you are scared to death that I just said that word. And I'm going to help you understand. A budget is not a guideline. This is not like the guardrails on the freeway to make sure you don't fall off. Your budget is not a guideline. It is your lifeline. It is a lifeline. So we're going to take the next few minutes, and some of you may be able to answer these numbers off the top of your head, and some of you maybe get partway through this next exercise we're going to do as a group and have to come back and finish the rest at home. But this is the deal. I want you to make a commitment that you're going to do it today. When you go home, you're going to take an hour, because it'll probably, if you do it really well, it'll take about an hour, to sit down and write out every one of these things we're about to talk about and decide what it's going to look like. The first thing you're going to fill in your bulletin is your monthly income. This is the money that comes into your household. Whatever that dollar amount is. And then we're going to take and we're going to prioritize our dollars. So we're going to tithe. Then you're going to write down what's your rent and your mortgage payment. Your utilities, how much are those? Utilities, this is heat, light, water, garbage, gas. Cable is not a utility. It's a bonus, and we'll get to that in a little bit. I know some of you have it through Tacoma Public Utilities if you have Click, but it is not a utility. It is not a necessity to live. So, then you're going to put your car payment in, because most of us still are under a car payment system. Then you're going to write what your car insurance is. You cannot drive in the state of Washington without car insurance. So not having car insurance is breaking the law, and under biblical ruling, we follow the laws of the land, so driving without car insurance isn't an option. If you can't afford the car insurance, you need a bus pass. Gas money. If you're going to drive that vehicle, you need to make sure you have enough money to pay for the gas to get you to and from work, or the kids to school, or to the grocery store. Groceries, you need to eat. I'm not making you starve. You need money for groceries. And we're going to cover your phone. This is not the 20 extra things on your phone. This is having a phone so you can make calls if you get stuck in an emergency. Some of you need to bring your cell phone plans down a little bit. So this is a pretty complete list of the things you need to have to live. So you're going to track how much all those things are costing you, and you're going to add them up. And that total is either going to be more or less than your income. If it's more, you got to start really fast tightening your financial belt. First place I always tell everybody to look is, what's your grocery bill? A lot of you are spending more at the grocery store than you think, because you just go, I'm hungry, and I go into the grocery store and I need some food. This is going to take some time, and it's going to take some planning. You don't go to the grocery store without a list. In order to make that list, you have to have a plan. So you sit down and you designate time that it's either you or you and your family, and you are going to write down Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Then you're going to give every one of those days breakfast, lunch, dinner. And you're going to write what you're going to make for every one of those meals. Then you're going to make a grocery list based just on those 7 days with those 21 meals. That goes on the grocery list. Nothing goes into the grocery cart that is not on that list. It will save you 25% right off the top by not picking up stuff. So you're going to make a plan. It's going to take some time. Yes, I get that. It's going to take some time. But guess what? You're not frivolously spending, so you've got a little extra time. So I can tell you, my family eats on a grocery budget of $400 a month. For my family of 4. If I didn't have a plan and go to that grocery store and not buy extra things, we couldn't do it. But I only buy what we're going to eat that week. And if for some reason something happens and there's extra leftovers or something, then that meal gets bumped to the first day of the next week before we make the grocery list, and we just carry over. It's how you don't end up with extra stuff or things rotting in your fridge or all the other things that happen. Some of you with some planning could save $30, $40, $50 a week in your grocery budget. Now, if you take that $50 a week multiplied times 4 weeks a month that you've just saved, you have now just put aside the $200 a month that you need to start the debt snowball that Pastor Aaron talked about last week. And you wondered where you were going to get the money. Now, most of us, when we look at our budget, there's still going to be money left. So after you've paid your need-to-live bills, now we're going to look at how much is left. We're going to see where we're going to prioritize our dollars. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to continue to pay on the debt you've already created. Then you can see about, do I add cable? Do I have enough money for internet service? Could I add a Hulu or Netflix subscription? You'll see if you can fit those things into your budget. Those are the extra things. Then you're going to designate anything left is going to go towards your savings plan. Remember, the first thing we're going to be saving for is that emergency fund of $1,000. Remember, an emergency is not purse to match the shoes, to match the pants, to match the shirt that you got such a great deal on. That is not an emergency. An emergency is your car has broken down, your tooth broken, needs a root canal. I can tell you this last week, if I hadn't had my emergency fund, my family would have been in trouble. Pastor Aaron's car needed to go in. We've known it needed 2 new front tires. So I had saved the money. We researched. I knew what it was going to cost. We've saved for the last few months. We had the money. It was time to go in. We went in, and the guy looks, and he goes, so I said, I just need the front tires done. He goes, well, let me just do a quick walk around the car and make sure. He comes back, and he goes, so your front tires definitely need to be done, but your back tires are like a 32nd of an inch from needing to be done. And I'm like, okay, so what's that total or whatever? And we stood there and talked or whatever, and he goes, you're going to be back in within a month with the road conditions, weather we're having this year. And we made the decision that we have a 16-year-old who's about to start driving that vehicle independently by herself, and that I needed to take some emergency money to put all 4 tires on the car, to take the emergency money to buy the extra 2, to keep my child safe, who's a brand new driver and is going to drive on slippery, wet roads. But if I hadn't had that emergency fund, A, my daughter could have been in an accident based on my negligence, and B, I would have been panicked on how I was going to come up with this extra couple $100 to put 2 extra tires on. Now, some of you are like, I can't swing that money in my budget right now to get that extra $1,000. Well, Pastor Aaron talked about that last week. Start selling some stuff. You probably have an extra table sitting somewhere in your house. You have clothes that you're not wearing. You have toys your kids aren't playing with. Put them on OfferUp. Put it on Let It Go. Put it on Craigslist. Get the stuff out of your house, because A, you don't need extra stuff, and B, our goal is to get debt-free, and to do that, we're going to have to get a little crazy, and that's okay. Because we realize that our financial future of being debt-free, small sacrifices now, the big payoff is so much better. Second thing you're going to do is you're going to start paying cash for things. You're going to pay cash for things. Now, this is hilarious because Pastor Charity doesn't normally carry cash. But I think the concept is really cool. Right now, I have $1,000. Now, I actually have some cash, and I keep it in a secret spot or whatever, and it's like my friend. I hate to spend it because I remember how I earned it. As a matter of fact, I have the crazy thing where I actually put sticky notes on money that I earn, and how, so I know what it is. I have money that's been sitting there for almost 3 years. I'm like, I did a funeral, and I earned money. I paid my tithe on it, and then I got to have that. That's mine. It's real interesting. You put these Benjamin Franklin's in your wallet, in your purse, and you're going to think twice before you want to take one out and say, do I really want my nails done? No, I don't think so, because I like him, and he's part of my family. Uncle Ben is now a piece of us, and we're going to think twice before we just go stick it out there. Paying cash changes the equation. It makes you, it hurts when you lay out Uncle Ben and go, well, goodbye, 3 Uncle Bens. I'll miss you. McDonald's did a focus group study. And you know if McDonald's did it, and this is a really interesting thing. McDonald's did a focus group study about credit cards. With a credit card at McDonald's, you will spend 47% more. You know why? Because you're not thinking about it. You take the credit card and you're like, I'm going to supersize that, I'm going to add the apple pie, and I'm going to pay for Bob's meal behind me. Not a problem. Take my card. But if I have to put cash out, I'm going to walk up to that counter and go, yeah, I'll take 2 things off the dollar menu, and Bob, you're on your own. Because this is my cash. I earned this. I felt it. See, when you spend cash, you feel it. A study group named Dun and Bradstreet did a study about other things. When you use cash, you will spend 12 to 18% less across the board than if you were to put it on a credit card. Now, this is interesting. If you were to save that money, because I told you we're going to do a couple different things today, and one of them is saving and investing. Did you know that if you took $100 a month and invested it into a growth stock mutual fund from the age of 30 to 70, just $100 a month, you would have $1,760,000 at the end of that 40 years. For basically cable money, pizza. You can buy pizza and cable and skipping your latte. You put $100 a month and you could retire and not have to eat Alpo. They make cookbooks, 78 ways to prepare Alpo so it tastes okay. Invest in your future. It's going to show up one day. You need to be smart about it. So what are some common cutting expenses that people miss when they're going, well, I think I've cut some things and I don't really think there's anything else? I'm going to tell you the biggest one. Eating out. While you are in debt get out of mode. Unless you work in a restaurant, you should not see the inside of a restaurant. And I don't care if that's McDonald's or the Ram. You don't need to go in. You will spend 80% less on food eating at home. You'll save even more money if you will prepare food from scratch versus buying store-bought, pre-made stuff that's like in a box. You'll save an additional percentage there. Plus, it's healthier for you to prepare it from scratch. Some of you are saying, well, I don't have the time. Well, guess what? I've gotten you back the time by the fact that you're not going out and spending money. So you now have the time to spend an hour in the kitchen making a meal. It also will bond your family together. Teach your kids how to cook. You don't want them getting outside and having to call you and saying, I can't even order a pizza. I've gotten phone calls from parents saying, hey, my kid's in another state. How do I order a pizza for them to be delivered to their dorm because they can't figure out how to go to the grocery store? Come on, part of our job as parents is to educate our children so when they go out of our house, they're ready to survive. Some stuff you take for granted that you really feel is a necessity that I'm about to tell you isn't. Vacations. You're not going on vacation, you're cleaning up your mess that you've made. Some of you, it's only a few years old mess. Some of you, it's 20 or 30 years of mess. But you can do it. You can get out of debt. You're not going to go camping. You're not going to go to the ocean. Do you know why? Because it takes money to put gas in that car. You're going to buy different food that you're not going to be able to buy your groceries because you're going away. That campsite, it may not be a lot, but it's going to cost you something to stay there. You're not going to do it right now. Christmas. I love Christmas. There isn't anybody in this room who out Christmases Pastor Charity. I love Christmas. I am already excited that I can play Christmas music, and my husband started yesterday playing me music and while I was doing things around the house, and I was so excited. I love Christmas. But we've bought so much into the commercialism of Christmas that you're destroying your family and your future so you can have some gifts under the tree that no one's going to care about in 6 months anyways. Make it a card Christmas. Make it a craft Christmas. You can only use something that's already inside of our house, and you can't spend a dime. So if you want to regift something to somebody else, excellent. If you want everybody to make a card and say what they're thankful for somebody else in the house, do that. The gift giving is not what makes the holiday. It's gathering your family around. Now, I'm going to hit really hard, and it's going to cut some of you really deep. And no, your pastor loves you, and that's why I'm telling you this. When you're cutting expenses, it does not mean you're going to go out and look for someone else to do it for you. You are not going to go sign your family up for a free meal. You are not going to sign your family up to go get free gifts. The reason being is that the gift isn't the purpose. If you can't afford a turkey Thanksgiving dinner, which on average costs anywhere between $40 to $100, for me, that means my family doesn't eat for an entire week. I don't know what it means for your family, but guess what? Bologna sandwiches can make an awesome holiday meal. You don't need the turkey and the stuffing and all the accoutrements to make an amazing family memory. You eat too much anyways, and then you feel like crap, and then you're just cranky because you spent all day in the kitchen anyways. So realize, stop buying into what the world says and start saying, man, I want to live how God's telling me to live. Don't allow your kids to fall in the trap that you fell in. Start setting a different example for what it looks like. I can tell you, I've taught my kids from the time they could talk the value of money. Money is not free. It does not grow on trees. Because I have a credit card does not mean that I have the cash. And if you don't have the cash to pay for the thing you put on that credit card, you don't need it. You can ask my children from the time they could talk at 2 years old. They were taught when we went to a store, if we have the money and it's something we had budgeted, we can buy it. If it's not, I don't care how cool it is or how many Christmas TV shows there are about it. We don't need it. See, the more passionate you are about getting out of debt, the deeper the sacrifice and the faster you'll make it out. There's a direct correlation between how excited you are to be financially free and what you're willing to do. It's the holiday season. For some of you, yes, it might mean going and getting an extra job. Lots of places are hiring extra part-time work right now. Man, could I speed up my process by getting an extra part-time job, though I won't see my family for the next couple of weeks? Would it mean that we paid off that credit card debt before Christmas? Because we're not going to add any new debt. We just want to get rid of what we already created. So when we're faithful with the little, we're going to watch what God can do with it because he's going to trust us with more. I told you I was going to talk to you about investing because some of you are like, I don't have very far to get out of debt. I've got a plan on how to get my emergency money. Now, Pastor, what do I do to make that $100 into $1 million by the time I'm ready to retire? There's two ways that money is made. First thing is people make money. You go to a job, you do your job, you get paid. The second way that most people forget about is that money can make money. So I want to show you what God talks about as far as this. 2 Thessalonians 3:10 says, "For even when we were with you, we gave you this rule. The one who is unwilling to work shall not eat." You're not willing to put the time in, you're not going to get to share in the bounty. The second way is that money can make money. Most of us right now are putting money towards debt. You're paying the minimum payment every month, and you're not actually paying down the debt. You're just paying the company interest that loaned you the money. But you actually realize you could flip that system around. By getting your debt paid off, you can start making interest work for you. Your money can make money. The parable in Matthew 25 that Jesus tells about the master who gives one servant 5 talents, one servant 2, and one servant 1. And the one that he gave 5 goes and invests it, doubles his money. He didn't go do anything. He invested it and had somebody else do something, and it made more money. So I'm going to give you 3 quick rules of investing. First one is, you do not invest in anything you don't understand. I don't care that Uncle Billy knows a buddy who knows something about. I don't care that you met a guy on the subway who handed you his card and said, "I'm a great investor." If you don't understand what the company is or what they're doing, don't put your money into it. I don't care how many people tell you, I think this is a good idea. You got guys on Facebook all the time going, "Oh, there's this new thing and this new thing," or whatever. If you yourself cannot understand it and are not willing to do the research, don't put your money into it. Proverbs 24:3-4 says this, "By wisdom a house is built, and through understanding it is established. Through knowledge its rooms are filled with rare and beautiful treasure." Wisdom, knowledge. If you don't have those things, if you don't have the ability to find it, then don't put your money into it. Second thing, don't put all your eggs in one basket. When you go to invest, you don't go, "Well, here's my $1,000. I'm going to put it all in X." The Bible says this, Ecclesiastes 11:2, "Invest in 7 ventures. Yes, in 8. You do not know when disaster may come upon the land. So if I put $100 in this, and $100 in this one, and $100 in this one, and down the line, well, if this one totally falls apart, but this one skyrockets, well, I've more than made up for the fact that this one was bad. But if I put all my money in the bad one, now I'm out all my money." So we don't invest in things we don't understand. We don't put all of our eggs in one basket. And don't try to get rich quick. 1 Timothy 6:9 says this, "Those who want to get rich fall into temptation and a trap and into many foolish and harmful desires that plunge people into ruin and destruction." How many of you have invested in something that failed? I know I have. Somebody told me if I just gave them $500 that they'd triple my money in 6 weeks. And that sounded really great. Except for I lost my $500 and it didn't make anything. This is how we make money. It's a really simple formula. Money plus time plus consistency will equal wealth. It's why when you invest that $100 a month over 40 years, you're not trying to get rich quick. You're trying to say, "I want to make sure in 40 years I've got money." You're going to have $1.7 million. A whole lot more than you got today. So we're not going to be in bondage to money. We're not going to be strapped any longer. Because the borrower is the servant to the lender. You don't have freedom. And we don't want to do that. So money's not the only thing we invest in, though. So I want to take a quick minute and talk to you. We look at Jesus' life. What did Jesus invest in? Now, Jesus talks a lot about money and being wise with it, but Jesus invested in people. Jesus invested in the kingdom of God. What's to come was way more important than his today. See, money's just a small piece of how we continue the kingdom of God. We use it as leverage to further what we're doing. But we invest in people. I want to encourage you, invest in your marriage, invest in your kids, and invest in your church. See, our prayer for you is that as you invest in your family and in your spouse, that you're going to see that multiply. You're going to see that flourish and grow. You're going to give your kids a heritage that you didn't have. You're going to form friendships that are amazing. I pray that you remember that it's not all for you. Though you may work the job, God blessed you with the job. It's from God, and He expects you to use part of your money for His kingdom, to bring glory to Him. So we don't serve money, we serve God. And money serves us as we serve God. Bow your head as we pray.